It's officially summer, and the road to French Lick is heating up. Hi, and welcome once again to the Road to French Lick, a show chronicling the 2024 Korn Ferry Tour season, which culminates in the Korn Ferry Tour Championship presented by United Leasing and Finance, played for the next 5 years on the Pete Dye course at French Lick Resort in French Lick, Indiana. I'm Ryan Ballingy. Thanks for joining us this week. We have a lot to catch you up on. There were 3 events since our 4th episode, and those 3 events were action-packed, and then there was a 4th event, including the U.S. Open, with a variety of Korn Ferry Tour players competing in our national championship at Pinehurst No. 2. But first, let's take you back to the UNC Health Championship, presented by Stitch in North Carolina at Raleigh Country Club in the city of Raleigh. Kaito Nishi became a first-time winner on the Korn Ferry Tour in one of the most difficult scoring events of the year on the schedule, winning by a shot on 8 under 272, beating Max McGreevy by that one shot, and Nelson Ledesma, a PGA Tour alum, by 3 shots, picking up that first win in his 30th career start on the Korn Ferry Tour. Then we move to the BMW Charity Pro-Am, the Korn Ferry Tour equivalent of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, with 160 two-person Pro-Am teams taking on the first 2 days down in Greer, South Carolina at Thornblade Club and the Carolina Country Club, before making a cut in the professional event and having the final round of the tournament played without the Pro-Am teams, just the professionals at Thornblade Club just outside of Greenville, South Carolina. Ryan Gerard, who nearly got his PGA Tour card last season, wound up walking away with his breakthrough win on the Korn Ferry Tour schedule with a blowout victory, a half-dozen shot win, earning the opportunity to earn 500 Korn Ferry Tour points, $180,000, as is standard for every regular season event, the 22 of them that are on this year's schedule. Then, as mentioned, last week, we had the United States Open at Pinehurst No. 2, and a handful of players who are already on the Korn Ferry Tour or were Korn Ferry Tour alums were competing in that tournament, including Tim Vieding, Frankie Sappin III, Harry Higgs, Isaiah Salinda. So we had a variety of players competing and representing the Korn Ferry Tour in the national championship, ultimately won by Bryson DeChambeau. But at the same time, there was also an event on the Korn Ferry Tour schedule that was part of the 22 regular season events, and that event is the long-running Wichita Open, now known this year as the Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas Wichita Open, benefiting KU Wichita Pediatrics. And in that event, on one of the shorter courses this year on the Korn Ferry Tour schedule, the 6,910-yard Crestview Country Club, Taylor Dixon became a 2-time champion this year, taking another trophy after having won in Chile earlier this season. He won by a shot on 19 under 261 over William Mount and Sam Stevens, with Kevin Roy and Kevin Velo both finishing in a tie for 4th place, 3 shots back of Dixon as the winner. So let's hear from a couple of our champions. Let's hear first from Taylor Dixon.
I just started to roll in some 15, 20 footers. I changed grips last week. The putter's been really cold, so I've been searching for something, trying different grips, and then late Wednesday, yesterday, just changed back to my original grip and kind of changed the way I'm stroking it just a little bit. It was a little inside, I think, and figured that out early in the week, and it seems to be working. Played really good, just putted it unbelievable. Bent grass greens, just like I grew up on, so I'm comfortable on these. So yeah, just looking to keep that going.
Now let's also hear from Ryan Gerard, who had the big breakthrough win at the BMW Charity Pro-Am.
It's pretty cool. I don't necessarily know if it feels like totally real or set in yet, but yeah, it's cool. It's awesome. I'm glad to finish on top. It's a great step towards next year trying to get a PGA Tour card. So I'm just really excited that game's kind of coming around in the right spot and could stack up four consecutive really good rounds and just finish it off with pretty decisive one coming down the stretch here. I had no idea how much I either had a lead or how much ahead I was until 17 green. There's a leaderboard there, so I knew I was up by quite a few at that point, and I figured I could get in the house from there. But No, we were just really trying to stay focused in the moment, one shot at a time, not getting ahead of ourselves all day. And it's easy to catch yourself slipping. It's a pretty cool carrot at the end of the rainbow if you get it done. And it's easy to start thinking ahead and not doing what you're supposed to do. And you kind of got to catch yourself at some point. Just kind of lock back in, focus, refocus, and just kind of keep plotting along.
After the 3-event stretch that included the UNC Health Championship, the BMW Charity Pro-Am, and last week's Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas Wichita Open, we have updated standings for you on the Korn Ferry Tour points list with the top 30 players at the conclusion of the Korn Ferry Tour Championship presented by United Leasing and Finance, earning PGA Tour cards for the 2025 season. Players who competed in the U.S. Open and made the cut were eligible to earn points as well, despite not playing on the main event on the Korn Ferry Tour schedule for that week in Kansas. Tim Vieding continues to lead the list this season with 2 wins on the schedule and also 1,357 total points. We now have a new second place man on the table. That's Taylor Dixon, who now has 2 wins on the season as well. And he comes in second place at 1,153 points. Harry Higgs has played a reduced schedule on the Korn Ferry Tour this year, but does have 2 wins. He is third on the points list at 1,104 points. Stephen Fisk continues to have a great year. He is in at 1,036 points in 4th place. And Kevin Velo rounds out our top 5 at 999 points. Our guest this week on the Road to French Lick is Illinois University head men's golf coach Mike Small. Mike Small has been a legend in the PGA of America, has been a tremendous collegiate golf coach for several decades, and has taken the Illinois program to a variety of heights. And he had several players from his program in the U.S. Open last week at Pinehurst number 2. So we wanted to talk to him about the experience of creating a program that breeds players who become successful professionals like he has, and the experience of playing in major championships as he has. So he spoke with our Brendan Sweeney about both those subjects.
All right, on the Road to French Lick this week, we are joined by a very special guest, my good friend, Coach Mike Small from the University of Illinois. Mike has been a pillar in the Champaign-Urbana scene since the 80s when he played for the Illini. Graduating in 1988, went pro in 90, 2 years on the Korn Ferry, 13 majors. Mike Small, welcome to the Road to French Lick. How you doing, pal?
Brendan, always great to talk to you, buddy.
Yeah, how's life in Champaign going so far?
It's going all right, man. We had another good season this year, enjoying the summer weather right now, and just getting ready for next fall.
Got it. How's your new golf course doing down there?
It's great. It turned out awesome, man. It's just in great shape, and the superintendent does a great job, and we encourage anybody that wants to play good golf course, come play it.
Now, when you're recruiting your fellas, obviously, when you think of golf, you don't think of Champaign, Illinois, or you didn't before think of Champaign, Illinois as a golf hotbed. You know, with your SEC, ACC, you get your West Coast guys, but you've created a dynasty in the heart of the heartland. How do you go out and recruit the fellas with the facilities that you have and the location that you're in?
Well, I appreciate you asking this, and that was the motive or the plan 24 years ago when we started to try to build this thing, was to have people think of Champaign as a place, and the University of Illinois as a place where kids can go get an awesome education and then prepare themselves for a life in golf after college and to play the PGA Tour someday. And we've gone on to probably be, I think if you looked at the stats, the last 15 or 16 NCAA championships, I think we're number 1 in the country based on average finish. So we match played 9 of the last 13 years. And so we've had 2 individual national champions and many tournament wins along the way. And we're proud of our guys in the PGA Tour. And, it was hard maybe to change that mindset, but hopefully, when you talk about those other conferences today, which I have a lot of respect for, the other golf conferences in the country, that people always also throw Illinois in that mix. And, we've earned that right. We've played well, and I think our guys are pretty proud of that. But it's been a work in progress for all these years, and our facilities, our school, our schedule, our funding, everything has kind of culminated to where we are considered a blue blood in college golf. We're very proud of that.
Well, if you look at some of the thoroughbreds that have come out of your stable, I mean, your dear friend Steve Stricker, who had a wonderful tournament last week. But, Dylan Myers, Thomas Peters, Luke Guthrie, recently Adrian Dumont-Chassard, Matthias Beard, Scott Langley, D.A. Points, Chris Forrest, Charlie Danielson, Nick Hardy, Brendan O'Reilly. Name them. I mean, those are all top-notch guys, and I've had the opportunity to meet them through you over the years. Each one is unique in their own way, and they all have a little bit of piece of you, your humanness that goes along with them. And I'm sure as a coach, you must be very proud of what you've saw in these young gentlemen and watch them grow into be young adults and to become professionals, not only in golf, but in life, not only as an athlete, but as a father, a parent, a mentor to others. What do you take away from that on a daily basis? I mean, your heart has to be swollen with so much pride.
Well, thank you for saying all that and mentioning those guys' names. And there's others too. And it's been one heck of a run, and I'm proud of every one of those guys. Number one, for being who they are and staying true to themselves, but also letting themselves become a part of Illinois golf. And a lot of them are obviously still playing professional golf and having a great run at it. And 3 of them are in the U.S. Open this weekend. But that's why all college coaches do this stuff. I mean, we want to win, we want to be competitive, but we want to help prepare these kids for something special after college and have them grow from high school seniors to college graduates and ready to take on the world. And our school academically does a great job preparing them in that side, but I think our golf program does a great job in getting them ready for the life and for the obstacles in life after college, whether it's on the PGA Tour, the mini tours, the Korn Ferry Tour, or if it's in business. And I think that's something that we get a kick out of, is watching these kids grow and become productive, honest, honorable young men when they graduate, and with an air of toughness, an air of confidence, an air of just a presence about themselves that they can go on and be successful and happy whatever they decide to do, buddy.
You touched on the U.S. Open this week. You have three fellas: Jackson Buchanan, Brian Campbell, and Thomas Dietrich. Each is unique. Each is a different age. Each has different experiences. Thomas Dietrich is playing lights out on the PGA Tour. Brian Campbell's playing lights out on the Korn Ferry. Jackson Buchanan was he a fifth-year senior and qualified, played lights out in the qualifier. How are you handling this week? How are you handling the U.S. Open? Are they coming back? Or are they saying, Coach, what's going on with what should I do? What do I do with these nerves, or just put them down?
I've handled this week in a lot of different ways since I've been coaching. I've played in the U.S. Open since I've been coaching, so that was kind of fun. And then I've been to a few of them as a coach to the guys, but generally I try to lay back and let them experience this on themselves, with their families and on their own. I'm with those guys from August 15th until June 1st every year, just with them every day, coaching and teaching and directing and watching them grow as players. And they need a break. They need a break from college, from the coaches, and they need some time on their own to incorporate and implement what we've talked about all year themselves and learn to own it. So, Jackson Buchanan, who you mentioned, has one more year with us. He's a 2-time All-American for us. He's going into his senior year. So he's there playing his first U.S. Open. It would make sense for me to go down there and help him and walk him through. But I really think that this is his time to enjoy himself and to make some mistakes, but also at times, but also to succeed in ways that he didn't know he could. And to take what we've talked about, how to play golf, how to play the game, how to control your space, how to play mentally, emotionally, and physically the way that he needs to play, and see how that stacks up in the U.S. Open, and do it himself. And we'll talk at night, we'll text back and forth, and then after the week, we'll obviously decompress and assess the situation, how his week was. But I think it's healthy for those guys to take it upon themselves and take what they've learned and have some ownership. And then for Brian Campbell, who's former All-American here, and he played in the U.S. Open as an amateur while he was in school, and he got the low amateur award at the U.S. Open when he played. So he's been in Opens before, and Thomas Dietrich, as you mentioned, is top 60, top 50, 60 in the world, and top 25 on the FedEx Cup right now. He finished 4th in this year's PGA, which was last month. He's just coming into his own, and he's getting better all the time. So all three of them had different stories and different ways they've arrived, but they all know where I'm at. They all know they can find me if they need me. And but again, this professional career is their career. It's not mine, and I don't need to go there and jump around and be with them. If they're playing, they need to take it upon themselves and own it and enjoy it.
Well, hopefully, Campbell and Dietrich win pretty good, so some of that NIL money will be coming down your way, but we won't talk about that. Let's go back. Let's reflect a little bit upon you. You had a great run in the professional era in the 90s before you started up at the University of Illinois. A couple years on the Korn Ferry Tour, had some wins. You had two outstanding players that come to the top of my mind back in the 2000s, Luke Guthrie and then Adrian Bouchard last year. They both had battlefield promotions, didn't they, to get through the Korn Ferry onto the PGA Tour?
Yeah, they've all kind of got their own ways. And I use the experiences I had when I played, and every day I coach. I was one of those guys back in the 90s that I couldn't get on the PGA Tour going through tour school every year. It was the qualifying tournament every fall where they had started at 50 guys and eventually went down to like 35 or 30 guys would get their PGA Tour card through tour school. I never could really get it done that way. So the way I got on the PGA Tour was I won twice on the Korn Ferry Tour, which was the Nike Tour back then. And that exempted me to the PGA Tour. So I've had my own little different run to the tour and playing with the best players in the world. And I think all of our guys have had different avenues as well. Scott Langley was really the first one who won a national championship here. He was one of our two NCAA champions. And then it took him a year or two to get out there. And then, Luke Guthrie follows and gets out there like in his first 6 months. He wins on the Korn Ferry at the time, and which might have been the nationwide tour at the time. I can't remember the name of it, but it's changed so much over the years. But again, he gets out there quickly and then is out there for 4 or 5 years and makes a bunch of money. And then, Thomas Peters goes to Europe and wins the NCAAs here, and then goes to Europe and plays the DP World Tour, wins 8 times over there, 8 times, and then gets on the PGA Tour that way. So they're all different avenues, and it's kind of fun as a coach to see all that happen and how they put their own little spin and twist on things.
In October, we're hosting the Korn Ferry Championships at the French Lick Resort. You've had some great runs going back 2010 when you won the Club Pro Championship, 2012, 2014, 2022. U of I wins the Big Ten championships there. How do you think the Korn Ferry players will accept or embrace the experience that the Pete Dye course has to offer?
Well, I think they'll embrace it. The place is fabulous shape. It's one of my favorite courses in the world. It's like you said, it's been good to us. I won the PGA Professional National Championship there as a player. And then as a coach, we've won 3 Big Ten championships, and we've had some individuals. I think Charlie Danielson and Thomas Peters and maybe Luke Guthrie won some individual Big Ten championships there. So it's been great to us and our family, Illini golf family, but it's just a really good golf course, man. It's one of Pete Dye's unique designs. You got to bring some strength, and I think the younger generation, the younger players will adapt to it probably better than the older players have, just because of the way it's played. It was designed, I think when Pete designed it, didn't he say this is like golf, futuristic golf? This is where golf is going to be going to when distance increases, and it was supposed to be distance proof or something. But
8102.
What's that?
8102 from the tips.
Yeah, they can get as long as they want. But it's such a great venue, and the atmosphere, the resort, the guys will love. It's relaxing. It's a great place to play competitive golf. There's not a lot of rough out there, but off the fairways, it's all sloped down into the sides of the hills, and every fairway is perched up as a tabletop, and you got to drive it straight. If you play well, you'll score well, but if you play poorly, it will get under your skin and drive you nuts. And that's kind of what I've seen players do. And if you play from strength and you keep the hole in front of you and you keep it in those fairways, you can shoot some good scores.
Mike, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate what we do to the game of golf. And as a leader of young men, 14-time Big Ten champion, Coach Mike Small, University of Illinois. You're the man,
Thanks,
buddy. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the time, and good luck to you in French Lick, man. The place is awesome.
Thanks, brother.
Each week here on the Road to French Lick, we look at 2 holes on the Pete Dye course, the host of the Korn Ferry Tour Championship presented by United Leasing and Finance. And we make the turn this week in episode 5 with the par 4 ninth playing downhill just in the shadow of the Great Mansion Clubhouse, and then the short but devilish par 4 10th. Here's Will Haskett with more.
The The finishing hole on the front nine is a dandy of a par 4, left to right dogleg with a ominous, dangerous waste bunker lining the entire right-hand side of the fairway. A well-struck tee shot here is one that's placed directly at the flagpole that you can see along the drive to the clubhouse. Use that as your aiming point. And make sure, if you're aiming, that you steer clear of all of the obstacles right of the fairway and the green. Left is your friend here as you head up the ninth. The 10th hole starts you high atop a boulder line tee, and you want to fire your tee shot at the left side fairway bunker. Any ball on the left side of the fairway will funnel back to the middle of the fairway, but the fun is just getting started from there. This green will be one of the most difficult to hit in your round, and even a shot hit to the left side of the green could end up running off down a steep slope towards the cart path. That leaves an almost impossible up and down. Keep that in mind as you factor in how to attack the 10th.
That'll do it for us this week on the Road to French Lick. This week on the Korn Ferry Tour is the Compliance Solutions Championship at the Jimmy Austin Oklahoma University Golf Club in Norman, Oklahoma, one of the collegiate sites that has and will continue to host the Korn Ferry Tour into the future. We have a great summer lined up for you on the Road to French Lick with a variety of guests, including a recap of next week's tournament from Oklahoma, and we'll take you all the way through to the Korn Ferry Tour Championship presented by United Leasing and Finance out in French Lick, Indiana in the first week of October. For everyone at the French Lick Resort and everyone here at Golf News Net, I'm Ryan Ballingy. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on the Road to French Lick.